The following program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Yet you don't hear Chuckie Schumer complaining about candidate quality in Pennsylvania. How about you get out there, Mitch, and fight for your team? What's your agenda, Mitch? Or would you rather just sit by and watch helplessly as Democrats lie to your face, pass another $500 billion green energy boondoggle next year? Or is it maybe Mitch McConnell hates Donald Trump so much that he would probably rather see Trump-endorsed candidates lose because he thinks that might hurt Donald Trump? His time as a leader needs to come to an end.
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Nice to see everybody here. Hope everybody had a great weekend and all. Pretty mild here, I guess. We had a little bit of some heat there, but it wasn't too bad. You know, it was pretty reasonable. I guess a lot of people can't say the same. If you're living out on the West Coast or even somewhere close to it, you either got drought or you got a downpour. And downpours aren't very good because, you know, that water just runs off. It doesn't soak into the ground like it should. So that's just flooding water, and it doesn't help the drought areas any when the water comes down that hard. Yeah, it's definite that we're seeing a lot of change in the climate. If you compare, today's climate, as we see it, and you go compare it like 10 years ago, there's definitely going to be a lot of change when you look at it that way. And I don't see how anybody could even still say that, climate change is a hoax, when just about every country on the planet has been affected in so many ways by it. It isn't just the United States. I mean, you see that there's problems in other countries with weather, extreme weather patterns, many of which haven't been seen in 100 years, or more, because, we only started recording weather, so like what, 400 years ago, I guess, maybe. Started keeping track of it, but what we're seeing is that these extreme weather patterns are happening more often now than they used to, which says that there's a lot of difference now in the atmosphere. Carbon monoxide and methane being locked up in the atmosphere. You often wonder, well, where does it go? I mean, it just stays there, and while it stays there, it's trapping in more heat. It's not allowing it to come out, and it stays saturated in the planet, where in areas where we need the cold, because if we don't have it, the snow and ice will start melting everywhere. And well, they're already saying they're seeing trees starting to sprout in parts of on Antarctica and stuff, because Antarctica is really a continent, really. I mean, on the globe it's just all white, right? We paint that all white because it's just ice and snow, but it's all ice and snow sitting on top of a continent that used to have trees and grass and all kinds of lovely things. Okay, and so if you dig down deep enough, you're going to hit soil, and with all that snow and ice sitting on top of the land, once that starts to melt and slide into the ocean, that's like taking a glass of water and then taking ice and dumping it, the friggin' water's gonna come out, you know. So that's exactly what's happening, and you know, ocean levels are going to rise faster than some have predicted. Okay, I'm thinking they're probably going to see a huge change in water levels in the next 50 years. Okay, and I'm not talking about inches. I'm talking about, you know, maybe a foot of water, you know, higher in the next 50 years. So that's, you know, it's kind of scary, because, you know, people living along the coast might want to think about investing in you know, a home or something further inland, because the water's coming. Okay, well, over the weekend, a poll was done by NBC. Okay, and let me reiterate here another, because I know I say it a lot, but polls aren't always 100% accurate. Okay, they just take a very, very tiny slice of America and poll them. Okay. And in my opinion, that's not a fair representation. I mean, you can't take 100 or 1,000 people and say that represents over, you know, 30 million or 300 million Americans. Okay, that just, you know, you can't. It doesn't work that way. Okay, you'd literally have to call a whole bunch of people, if not everybody, in order to get a fair representation of actual numbers and stuff like that. Okay. But I'm talking about this poll because everybody's been talking about it since it came out Sunday, okay? And and so I guess I just wanted to throw my 2 cents into it. But you know, anyway, the poll had come out, and it said that 21% of the voters think that threats to our democracy are more important than jobs and the economy. Okay. 16% thought cost of living was important. That came in second. But third was jobs and the economy. Maybe because, you know, there's so many more people working now that, you know, maybe that, you know, that need for attention to it isn't as great. Okay, because, you know, like you know, Biden says, we've got the lowest unemployment rate, you know, in many years, decades even. Okay, and right now, I don't think a whole lot of people are so much concerned with jobs. Okay, they're working, they're getting paid. I think more specifically, people are more concerned about getting well-paying jobs. Okay, which will be coming as we start opening up factories in this country to build things that we otherwise have other countries doing for us. We'll be making that stuff here in the United States, and so that's an opportunity for Americans to dump their, you know, 6-hour job, you know, a day, or, you know, every other day, part-time work, and actually pick up a job that, you know, you're going to bring home a salary there that's going to be, you know, probably equal or a little more than all the paychecks you're getting from the work you're doing in 15 different jobs. Okay. That would be nice, because that would give people a little more resting time, you know, a little more family time, than to just, you know, come home, eat, and then go back to work, to another job, come home, eat, and go back. You know, that's ridiculous. I mean, I don't see how you can raise a family in that way. Okay, even if you are working. A lot of people are working, they have families, but they can't really do anything with their families because they got like 3 jobs. You know, that's ridiculous. That's not the American dream. That's not the way it should be in this country. People should be able to have their jobs and be able to enjoy life at the same time. I mean, what the fuck is the point of living if you can't do anything but work? You know, how are people supposed to, you know, discover, you know, the things they like, discover things about themselves if they're always tied up in work? I mean, Christ, it's like we're just here to be slave labor for goddamn companies. I mean, we can't allow that to go on. We have to let, you know, industry come back here and let them start making things in America, keeping people buying and our money staying in our own country, because really that's the only way we're going to be able to strengthen our country up, is by reinvesting back into it. Okay, for 20 years now we've been throwing our money all over the damn world and nothing's coming back to us because the world doesn't want to buy anything that we make. Okay, they're just happy to get from China or these other countries instead. You know, it's like China is the big seller of all things. And so in the same poll here, it asked voters about their opinion on the investigation into President Trump, former President Trump. And 57% of voters polled believe they should continue with the investigation, while only 40% said they should stop, okay? So what I take from that is Americans are really fed up with crooked politics, okay? They're really fed up with senators and congressmen blocking and stonewalling things that people need, okay? Because they're too busy playing political chess in Washington, D.C. and leaving us all out of the fucking game, okay? They don't even think about what we're doing while they're sitting here trying to one-up each other. And so people are getting tired of that. And I think a lot of people in America, and I'm going to include even the terrorists on the right wing, want to see the country stop the bullshit and start working for the people. Okay, they want to see the government actually work the way it was intended to work, and not the way it's become. Okay, because right now it's a joke. I mean, honestly, if you live in another country and you're watching and you keep track of American politics, you have to wonder, how can they ever get anything done with a system like that? Okay, you see the country you see the United States wants to change presidents. They want to do something to get things working back in the country, and after they do that, you have another piece of the pie of the system that we have blocking everything else. Okay, and so we're still back, to fighting with political infighting, and it doesn't quit. And so I think a lot of people are not really convinced around the world that democracy really can work. Okay, I think a lot of people assume that our system needs a whole lot of upgrade. Okay, and there's no shame in admitting that it's time to change what is, because hey, it's been around for what, 300 years, and so a lot's changed in that time. A lot of water under the bridge, as it were. And our country is not so simple anymore. It's got a lot of big business here. It's got a lot of people. We're spread out all over hell. We got big cities everywhere. We've got ties to other countries. Of course, we have to start changing the way the country works in order to make it more relevant to today's times. I mean, the world is moving fast, but our government is practically crawling. Okay, that can't be. We can't have that. Okay, the government has to move as fast as the rest of the world is changing, because if it doesn't, we're going to find ourselves so far behind everybody else that we're not going to be able to do or be relevant to the world. And that's kind of where we are now. Okay, the world is passing us by in so many ways, and the United States is still sitting on its ass and really not moving. Okay, we're trying to repair the damage, as it were, from many decades of Republican meddling. And so I think all across the political spectrum, I think many people would agree that we have to hold these politicians accountable for the crap they do, because it affects us all, not just the president or the senator or the congressman. It affects everybody, because when they can't do their job, we don't get our benefits. We don't get our fucking needs taken care of. Okay, we don't get that. And instead of people taking the time to try to fix what is broken, they decide, well, let's just get rid of it altogether. It's like Social Security. They've been saying for years Social Security doesn't work. The Social Security system was supposed to run out of money about 13, 14 years ago, according to their estimations. It's still working, despite what they've been saying. Okay, the system is still working, even though they said all the way back, since the 1990s that, Social Security is not going to be around in a few years. It's going to run out of money. Trying to bullshit people, because How can it possibly run out of money when it's constantly being given money from everybody's paychecks and, you know, when taxes and stuff? They're just getting back the money they paid into it. It can't, there's no way it can run out of money, okay? Just no way. That's not how it's designed, okay? And so they try to destroy these things instead of improving them because they don't want to do anything that affects the possibility of their big business partners making more money, okay? And if the big businesses don't have to pay into taxes into the system like that, then hey, that's more money that they get thrown into their pockets, okay? That's the way they look at it. And so, of course, the right wing is going to come out and say, get rid of Social Security and get rid of Medicare and all that other stuff, okay? They're going to say that because, hey, that's tax money. You know, those are government systems. Let's get rid of all these government systems. Let's get rid of the police and the post office and the military and all that crap. No, we don't need all that. You know, they want to just shut down the government, okay? And I'm like, yeah, and how successful do you think that's going to be in a short time? I mean, Christ, I mean, you shut down all that stuff, you're going to have so many upset people in this country who have been used to these things since they were born. They're not going to understand how you run a country without these things, okay? And you know the Republicans don't have a contingency plan to replace all that stuff. So unless Republicans have an idea of what they want to put in place of these government-funded programs, nobody should ever listen to what they're saying about that and even support it, because all they're talking about is just cutting the cords all across the land and letting everybody fall on their face. That's all they're talking about. And to me, that's not governing, okay? You don't govern that way as a politician. That's just being mean-spirited and selfish and greedy for no good reason. Because they haven't said a reason yet in all this time about why they want to get rid of that, okay? There's never been a reason given that anybody could swallow and say, oh, that's a good idea. Nobody has said that. Now, the reason why you're hearing a lot of this talk now about shutting government things down is because of the backlash that the extremist right wing is still having this fit here over the search of the Mar-a-Lago home of former President Trump, okay? And their argument is so hypocritical, okay? I think everybody can remember when Republicans were all for having the FBI raid Hillary Clinton's home and all that stuff to find out about the 30,000 missing emails, which, you know, they weren't any missing. There was nothing there, okay? And so there was, there's, since then, I mean, they've always been at it, but now that the tables have turned, and it's one of their own under the gun, basically, they're all crying foul. Well, this article here had come out, I'm going to read this here. Florida Republican candidate for Congress threatened that FBI agents would go, quote, home in a body bag, unquote, if they ever try to search his house the way they did Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. In a shocking video he posted to YouTube on Saturday, Sarasota businessman Martin Hyde said, quote, I wish they'd turn up at my home because they'd have gone home in a body bag, unquote. Quote, when they turned up at Mar-a-Lago and raided the home of President Trump, that was an assault on every one of the 75 million people who voted for Trump. It was an assault on democracy, unquote. Hyde baselessly claimed in the video, quote, these people would stop at nothing, unquote. Yeah, so what they did is their job. FBI went and did their job. They didn't raid, okay? They gave Trump's special security ample notice that they were going to be there that morning, okay? And they didn't show up till 10 o'clock in the fucking morning, okay? It wasn't some, like, knock on the door at dawn and they come in. You know, no. They gave them, and they didn't even show up wearing uniforms. They were just wearing civilian clothes. Now you tell me, that sounds like, oh my God, the FBI's out of control. No, they weren't even armed. The only people who had guns there that day was the fucking security guards that Trump has. Okay? They were the only people that had guns. That's it. They didn't go in armed. That's the reason why they called ahead, because they didn't want to get shot at, for looking like they were trying to rob the place. Okay? And they had the fucking warrant, and they got a copy of it. Trump's got a copy of it. He still won't release it. He still doesn't really want to talk about it because he knows it's incriminating. And if people hear about what the hell what was in it they were looking for, I think a lot of people would say, fuck you, Trump. We're not, which they already should have done long time ago. But apparently some people need to see a bigger smoking gun than what they've seen already. Okay, they're not convinced that he's a crook. Okay. So this month they took out 20 boxes of White House material from Mar-a-Lago, including 11 sets of classified documents, some of it top secret. The documents were supposed to be turned over to the National Archives at the end of Trump's presidency. Okay. Hyde has been endorsed by Trump, of course, that's why he's out there bitching now. And Trump's longtime confidant and advisor, Roger Stone. Both men, convicted of felonies, were pardoned by Trump. Hyde is running against 8-term GOP Representative Vern Buchanan in a primary Tuesday to represent Sarasota in Congress. The video is deliberately provocative and appears to be a long-shot effort to revive Hyde's campaign, according to the Sarasota Herald Tribune. Despite the controversy blowing up over the video Saturday, Hyde defended it. Quote, the FBI starts acting for a politically motivated Department of Justice. They are more acting like tyrants, and that's why we have the Second Amendment, unquote. Hyde messaged the Herald Tribune referring to the Constitution's right to own firearms. But he also indicated that the video was a last-ditch campaign bid for media attention. Quote, did you even consider I might be using hyperbole and rhetoric because I know how susceptible you are to it, unquote. Hyde asked the newspaper, quote, no point in spending money on mailers when you'll print my name for free, unquote. Such comments, even if deliberately exaggerated, however, can result in serious violence. Federal authorities warned earlier this month of a spike in threats to law enforcement in the wake of the various attacks on the FBI by Trump and his supporters. A joint intelligence bulletin released by the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security advises federal officials to remain vigilant about domestic violent extremists. Now that's all thanks to the right wing. Okay, the people who are supposed to be all supportive of Men in Blue and everything. Okay, that's where we are now. Okay, so don't believe a fucking word of it when they say they support police and all that shit. They don't. Okay, they only support the police when the police are out there beating up black people and people of color and stuff. Okay, that's the only time they support the police. And if you don't believe me, wait till, well, actually there already is. They got a bunch of cops that they got caught beating up on somebody. Where was this? In Arkansas. Was like 3 or 4 police officers are on the ground beating a man who's already on the ground, slamming his head into the pavement. Okay, and you watch how the Republicans will defend those cops. Okay. But if those cops weren't doing anything and didn't do this, they would be shit on by the Republicans because, hey, you know, we can't defend the cops. The cops are, you know, they went after Donald Trump and everything. You know, it's like you can't have it both ways, people. And you can't for one day be on their side, the next be against them. Okay, and then call for removing these systems in place by defunding them. Okay, I'd like to see how you think this country is going to function, you know, with civility, if we don't have any police or any military or whatnot. Okay, well, do you realize how much protection we get just from the FBI? I mean, without them, I mean, we would have been hit a long time ago. We would have had 9/11s every fucking year, you know, without them. I mean, don't kid yourself. Don't believe the fucking earwax that's pouring out of their heads over at Fox News, okay? We can't defund these programs. We need them now. The world is not, you know, it's not like 1776, okay? We have threats from all around the world against us, and thanks to some, you know, things that were done in Washington D.C., those threats aren't going to go away. Okay, we're always going to be a target now, and wouldn't you be able to sleep better at night knowing we have a force out there protecting us instead of not? Okay, wouldn't it be better to sleep at night if you have police out there making sure nobody's breaking into your home instead of not? Okay, how much sleep do you think you're going to get at night if you have to be the one to stand patrol in your own house? Okay, can you sleep with one eye open at night? You know, forget what they say about the benefits of having a gun, okay? We already saw that. Good guys with a gun don't seem to have much impact against bad guys with a gun because the bad guys outnumber the gun killings than the good guys number, you know, how many that they stop. Okay? It's like 100 to 1. So where are the good guys with the guns, I ask? You know, the police and all that. They can't get there, they can't respond in time, and sometimes they don't want to respond because they're too fucking scared to go and help. So that's your theory that you want the rest of the country to live by, that, oh, the safest country is a well-armed country. Really? I hate to see that in a society as so irritated as it is now, where people are so high-strung as they are now. Yeah, I mean, let's not talk about just the kids. I mean, the adults are worse, okay? They can't get along with each other these days. I mean, it's like all they want to do is fight, okay? And, you know, hell, I was just driving down the street here, what, a month ago, and I was up by John Baptist High School, okay? Some of you know where that is. I had to slow down and go around because there was a cop car sitting there with the lights flashing, and there was another one in front of the car that it was pulled over, and there were three teenagers or maybe like in their early 20s or something sitting there having this big friggin' fight and arguing. The cops are trying to pull them apart, okay? And you know, I'm thinking, yeah, this is our society right here that they want to arm, okay? You want these guys to be carrying around Uzis and shit like that and feel like you're safe. You know? Shit. All right, let's have a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Dear CEO, what's it gonna take for you to do something? Yeah, do you even care?
Climate change affects all of us. This is your chance to do something good.
You know, I said at the state level, I'm in the state legislature, it's time to cut all ties with the DOJ. It's time to pass a law saying that what they're doing is invalid, have the state actually push back. But in the meantime, at a minimum, cut all ties with them. No more task forces, no more mutual aid agreements amongst our political subdivisions, our sheriffs, our police chief. We'll do us. They need to stay out of our lane. That's what needs to happen at the state level. And I'm the only candidate running in this race that's pledged to vote against any budget that funds these guys. We need to defund these lawless federal law enforcement agencies and go back to just interstate compact among the state attorney general to actually start enforcing against crime at the national level. But we do not need the FBI and the DOJ getting involved in every aspect of our life, prompting the chief political domestic opponent.
med?
Oj, kolla här. Kolla här.
Det var sådär en lavin eller?
Ja, den är kontrollerad. Alltså, det är såna jäkla krafter.
Är det safe?
Ja. De vet vad de gör.
Pappa!
Harry, det är lugnt. Harry!
It doesn't matter what comes, fresh goes better in life. With Mentos fresh and full of life. Nothing gets to you, staying fresh, staying cool. With Mentos fresh and full of life. Fresh goes better, Mentos fresh and fresh goes better with Mentos fresh and full of life.
Mentos, the fresh maker.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Okay, welcome back. So, this other bit of polling, I guess you can call, was conducted down in Florida about, the people that are the incumbents down in Florida, like death sentence in Marco Rubio, okay? And what they found is that there's a lot of swing voters in Florida who are not really impressed with those two choices. Okay, they don't like them, and some of the words they've used to describe them as power hungry, petty, an opportunist, egotistical, a bull in a china shop. That's the words some of the Floridians here are using to describe this death sentence and Rubio. And I'd say that's pretty on the mark, as far as I'm concerned, considering what they've been doing or not doing down there. Let me see here. There's a quote here from somebody, Thomas from Coral Gables, who's 27 years old, who, quote, said, DeSantis is petty. He's all about keeping government out of business until the business disagrees with him, and then it becomes personal. Yeah, he's referring to Disney, when Disney wouldn't stand side by side with DeSantis on his don't say gay bullshit, okay? And then he goes after them and saying, well, we're going to take away your privilege here, in the state. So, I mean, it's like, well, hey, if that's the way you're going to be, then God help you if you actually become a governor again, or even president, because there's going to be a lot of times where people aren't going to agree with you, and if you're going to be miserable and as this guy says, petty about things, you're going to have a fucking enemy list longer than your arm, because people don't sit back and take shit like that from a politician for very long. Okay, we found out how this country reacts to crooked politicians here with Donald Trump out, okay? We don't go along with that sort of thing. And business is really what runs this country. And if you attack business, you might as well cut your own throat and throw in the towel, because you ain't going to be sitting in the White House very long. Okay? So this death sentence is, the things is history in Florida is terrible. Okay? I don't know what other people might think about this guy. I guess it all depends on where you lean politically, and if you're a right-winger, then clearly you're never going to see why he's such a dangerous person, because he's doing one thing for you that you like, and that's it. And really, Republicans are just single-issue voters, okay? And that single-issue vote is usually about abortion, and everything else the guy can do wrong. But if he's still against abortion, he still has Republican support. That's the friggin' backward and terrible thing about Republican voters, is that they're single-minded. They don't think on the big scale, like how many pros, how many cons. Okay, they don't think like that. They just see, where does it say he's against abortion, and oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, I'm for him. Okay, that's the way they vote, these people. And that's still the way they vote, even after everything that's been going wrong in this country, even after everything that we've been doing to expose corruption in their party and stuff like that. Their only objective is abortion, okay, stopping abortion. That's all they care about. And as much as they care about it, the fact is, these people are a minority of Americans who think about that, okay? Or at least a minority of Americans who are against abortion. That's what I should have said. Okay, the majority of the country is for it, and it's coming out. This November, they're going to find out just how many people in America really do care about keeping that right to their, to be able to do that. Okay, and this is why, for a system like ours to work, the majority has to rule, and that means the majority has to stay on top of the game. Okay. No matter what the majority happens to be about or what it is, if you want things your way, then you have to stay unified and stay on top of it. So that way, your minority party doesn't get the upper hand, because that's certainly not the way you want our country to be run, by having the minority get its way, because what happens is you piss off everybody else. And when the other 70% of the country is not getting their way, you're going to have a big problem on your hands if you keep going down and keep letting, this minority of the country keep passing this, passing that. Sooner or later, you're living in their fucking world, and you're not living in the world that you wanted from the beginning. And that's kind of where we are. The world is changing because of Republicans. It's twisting around into what some people call opposite world or upside down world, like Stranger Things. It's become like that because we've allowed the Republicans, without much, there's some fight, but not a lot of fighting. We've allowed the Republicans to get their way, okay, for too long, against the majority will of the country. And that's why when you poll, sometimes you get to see these, a difference from what you're told from the news to what you see in the poll numbers, is because there's never any connection there. It doesn't seem to match up what they say. Okay, and what I see is that, especially when after what happened with the Supreme Court, a huge fucking uproar. They just started that, this summer. And now that the women are out there and they're angry and they can't wait to get out and vote. Okay. Republicans have done this to themselves. And this over the weekend, or was it, I think it was Friday, yeah. What's his face? Sean Hannity. He was on Fox News, okay, bitching about Mitch McConnell slacking off and not keeping the base together and focused, because he senses that there's going to be a huge wave of Democrat voters who are going to come in and take seats. He thinks that they're going to lose in the November elections. Of course, he could be saying that just to anger the Republican voters, because you remember, emotion is what drives them to the polls. Okay, hatred, anger, that's what they feed them on. That's why when these people vote, they show up at the polls, like they look like they just come out from hunting somewhere, and they're crazy-eyed and they got guns hidden or knives hidden on them. Okay, these are the people that are all emotional, who are constantly thinking the government is just around the corner waiting to take away all your weapons. Okay, those are the ones that go, the Republicans that vote. And I think that's what Sean Hannity was trying to appeal to them on his show over the weekend, or Friday. Okay. And, he called out Mitch McConnell. He picked him. I don't know why he picked him. Okay. This thing here with leadership in the Republican Party is more these days more about Donald Trump and doing what he says. Mitch McConnell often doesn't seem to be really in the know, I guess, about certain things, but he has his stands on things that he keeps, and one of the things that he's definitely good at is never allowing Democrats to get their way, okay? Which he failed to do when they passed that anti-inflation act thing, okay? A lot of Republicans really resented that victory. They're still biting their teeth over that, and I think that was another reason why Sean Hannity was saying those things about Mitch McConnell. And so, like I said, it's a sign that they're either sweating or, well, they're sweating. Okay, they could see the handwriting on the wall. They are upset that things aren't going their way now. They was getting it their way when they got the Supreme Court thing their way, but now it's kind of turned around on them now. Now there's a chance that that's, what they won is going to be in danger of, disappearing again. But, I knew that way back then, even if they got it, that they wouldn't last long, because this country has always been pro-abortion, at least the majority of the country has been. And, I can't see how any piece of legislation that legalizes that, anti-abortion, is going to stand for long, okay? When they change Supreme Court justices, whenever that is, you'll see a different phase of that going on in the court, which is, like I said, another reason why I hate the Supreme Court being involved in government, because they can flip-flop whenever they feel like it, depending on who's the judge and how he reads the damn Constitution, okay? So to me, it just seems like it's a waste of time asking the Supreme Court to do something, to codify things into law, because, hey, we just get a new judge or a new justice sitting on the bench, and that could flip everything right back again. So why do we do this? Why do we hand things like that to them? Okay. But like I said, the swing voters in Florida aren't really that hyped up about the Marco Rubio and the death sentence. Okay, they they don't want nothing to do with them. So that could be a sign that Florida voters aren't going to be too eager to get out and vote down there for, what I'm saying? I don't know. We'll see, I guess. And here, finally, this other article, written by Mona Charen, from the Bulwark, entitled "Republicans Are Rooting for Civil War." The distrust Trump sowed is bearing bitter fruit. Executing a valid search warrant, FBI agents arrived in the morning to search the office. The word unprecedented was on everyone's lips. They seized business records, computers, and other documents related to possible crimes. Enraged Donald Trump denounced the FBI and the Justice Department, saying not that they had abided by the warrant issued by a federal judge, but rather that agents had broken into the office. I beg to differ. They did not kick the fucking door in. The door was opened for them when they got there. That's what the press on the ground said that day. Nobody said a damn thing about them just showing up and kicking the fucking door in. Okay, you see how Trump? How can anyone ever believe anything that man says? Okay, he's been lying. Can anyone tell me when he started lying, or was this always his thing? I can't remember a time when he said anything that wasn't an exaggeration on the truth or an out and out lie. Okay, and that's up to you to decide that. But all I'm saying is I can't remember a time when he actually said anything that was truthful. I only know that everything he said from the day he got into the public light was bullshit. The year was 2018, and Trump was livid about the FBI's investigation into his longtime attorney fixer, Michael Cohen. At the time, many observers, including myself, assumed that the investigation would yield bushels of incriminating documents from Trump. Cohen was his personal lawyer, the guy who wrote the hush money checks to porn stars, and presumably had access to many of Trump's dodgy or downright illegal acts. It didn't turn out that way. Yes, Cohen was prosecuted and pled guilty to 8 counts of criminal tax evasion, campaign finance violations, that was the Stormy Daniels piece, and other frauds. But Trump himself, nothing. He skated while his faithful minion became a guest of the Bureau of Prisons in Otisville, New York. It was soon thereafter that we learned from Cohen that Trump keeps few records, shuns emails, and speaks not in commands but in mafia-esque insinuations. Trump doesn't give direct orders, Cohen testified. He, quote, speaks in code and I understand that code, unquote. So there may be less than meets the eye in those crates the FBI carted off from Mar-a-Lago, or it could be a motherlode of incrimination. We don't know, we can only speculate, but what is not open to doubt is that the Republican Party, which seemed to be flirting with post-Trumpism just a few weeks ago, has now come roaring back as an authoritarian cult. Trump has not changed, but he has changed the Republicans. And that's true. I've never seen the Republican Party be so anti-American as they are these days. Okay, in their mind, they think they're right. They really do. They really believe that our country is already turned against itself. Okay, already betrayed the Constitution and everything like that. They don't see it. They can't see it. And is it because they don't have the intelligence enough to be able to recognize when they've crossed the line, or maybe they don't? Maybe they weren't taught as well as most about the Constitution and what it's all about. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Okay, they can't be. If these people were smarter, they wouldn't have been suckered as much as they have been by Trump. But then you got some people with college degrees in the Republican Party also towing Trump's line. Okay, so I don't know what the hell it is that makes these people so blind as to what they're doing. Okay, I really don't know. And I think every psychologist in this country really ought to sit down and figure this thing out for the benefit of us, like myself, who really are up against a wall trying to understand why these people are so backwards crazy. Why are they like this? And is there anything we can do to fix that? Because that's a danger to our country. We can't allow stuff like that to go on. I mean, I'm sure Germany had that moment after Hitler was gone, okay, as to why did we follow this motherfucker, especially after they saw all the shit that he did with his people. Okay, they must have gone through this. Why? How? You know what I'm saying? They had to have, because not every German was all for Hitler back then. Okay, there were people who were against him. They just wouldn't say it, but they didn't like Hitler. And of course, there was many assassination attempts on his life while he was there. So, there were people there that really probably felt like, I do right now. It's like, how in the Christ did we ever overlook this guy and let him get to where he is and let him do what he's doing, what he's still doing, and why these people are still believing in his shit. I mean, maybe not as many now as before, but still, there's a whole bunch of them out there that do. And these people are violent. Okay, they are willing to go out and attack an FBI office without much thought into how they intend to get through bulletproof doors and shit like that. Okay, they don't think. They're just acting on fucking emotion, on rage. And, they write what they're going to do online so everybody has an idea of what's behind the attack. And the FBI figures it out. And so we know the guy's is a few matches short of a matchbox. Okay, we find out that the guy is really demented, and the way he looks. I mean, just reading what he had wrote, you tell he's dealing with other demons that really are not so much about politics, but somehow it's wrapped itself around it. And maybe this was a trigger that pushed him over the edge to do something that he was already thinking about doing, which is ending his life. Okay, he's probably going through a lot of shit, and some people figure, well, I'll end my life, but I'll take the assholes with me. So there's a lot of suicidal ideology out there in our world, and they're dangerous people, because if they get it into their craw to commit a suicide and then take somebody along with them, by in that way taking somebody out, law enforcement or somebody they don't like, or driving their car into a house and having it explode and you burn it, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if people have that mentality, they are dangerous, okay? And they don't have to be politically motivated to be dangerous. The fact that they are at that breaking point in their mind, their anger can go out in many directions, not just in self, but in many ways before they kill themselves. And that's why we see a lot of kids in schools and shit, killing a whole bunch of kids, and then they turn and pull the gun on themselves. Okay, it's an intended suicide, but they want to take all the people that piss them off, that I guess they figure made them that way, made them suicidal, with them. Okay, and that's why we can't defund or cut back on funding for mental health research and and help therapy and stuff like that for people, because we are living in a world now where people that we are supposed to be sympathetic for, now we got to be afraid of, because these people can do a whole lot of damage and take a lot of lives with them, and can't be held accountable for it because they're dead. We can't let that go on. So, if anybody has a brain out there and they're sitting here talking about, we don't need no therapists, so we don't need no funding for healthcare and stuff like that, bullshit. We don't need that, my ass. Okay? There's a lot going on in this country where, people, if they got the proper care, could have avoided a lot of things that happened to them, or we could have saved some people from getting killed, or some children, all you pro-life wackadoodles out there that think that, kids, the fetus is something to protect. What if a pregnant woman gets shot by some person that was supposed to be in a hospital, but he couldn't afford to be there because he didn't have insurance? How does that factor into your fucking we care about life situation here? Okay? Did you ever stop to think about that? I bet a lot of you didn't. So yeah, I mean, the article is just pointing out that we have people in the extreme left that are cheering on a civil war. They want to see it happen. Everybody's willing to martyr themselves to trigger the fucking fight. Okay, and the rest of us have to be unwilling to give them what they want. Okay, we can't allow ourselves to go to war in this country because of one or a small group of people who want to see it happen, who are just dying on their computer just to see their wet dreams come true. Okay, there's nothing wonderful, nothing cathartic about having this war, because none of these people who start it are ever going to see it end. I can tell you that right now. How it starts with certain, it's not going to end with the same people, because all those people will be dead before they'll ever see the end of it. Okay, that's a guarantee right off the bat. So none of these people are going to live long enough to see an end to their to the war, and won't know what the outcome will be. All right. So if they feel like they want to sacrifice themselves for a useless cause that's going to lose in the end, okay, hey, why don't you go and fight against the Russians over in Ukraine? Okay, why don't you pick up your guns and go over there and help the fight? Do something constructive to prove to us that you are pro-American, okay? That's a good way for you Republicans out there to prove your fucking mouth. Put money where your mouth is, okay? You like law and order, you like the United States, you want, you fly USA, and you're patriots and all this shit. Prove it. Nobody's gonna stop you. Go buy a fucking plane ticket, get on the goddamn plane and fly over there, volunteer, okay? Volunteer. You can use your gun all you want there then. That's my advice to you people, because a lot of you are a bunch of chicken shit, draft dodging motherfuckers, okay? A lot of you. And you're being led by the like, okay? And I'm sick and tired of hearing these people think they know better than everybody else, when most of them have never put on a uniform, most of them have never fired a round against another man, okay, and have very little idea at all about what it means to defend this country. Because if they did, they would have a lot more pride for it than they do now, okay? Seriously. Because when you're in the military, there's a certain pride you get from doing something for your country. Even the smallest thing that, when you get it. Okay, when you first get into the military, they break you down. They tear down the bullshit that's in your head, and they fucking teach you about your pride, self-pride, taking pride in yourself, having some dignity when you wear that uniform, okay? That's what they're trying to teach you while you're in there, okay? And then when you do your job and stuff with other people who are just like you, wearing a uniform and everything like that, you feel like you're in a brotherhood, and that you're all doing something for your fellow countrymen. Okay, I don't care what kind of person you are, if you're a peace lover or something like that. You can't help you can't dodge that feeling you get when you do something. Okay, even people who work in the Red Cross, they have that same feeling. They're doing good things. That's why a lot of them, they'll stick their necks out for each other. Okay, it's the same thing. But you people on the right wing, the terrorist right, okay, in actuality, you're all just about yourself. Not yourself as a group, but individually, that's all you're about, is about your needs, your personal wants. You just happen to be with a group of people who are also very selfish. And so you share a selfishness, but you don't feel like you're doing anything but feeding your selfishness. You don't have a pride, you don't have any dignity that goes along with what you're doing, because you know in the back of your fucking mind that what you're doing is wrong. Okay, I don't care who you think you are, you know what you're doing is wrong. You're angry, you've been told a bunch of lies online from QAnon and whoever the fuck else you're reading shit from. You've been told all this stuff and never bothered to check out to see if any of that shit's true, where some have and they found out they've been lied to. You're afraid to find out you've been lied to, okay? Maybe you don't want to, because maybe you want to be lied to. Maybe you want to feel like this because you just hate yourself and you hate the country. I don't know what it is or what drives you, okay? But that feeling there that I was talking about in the military, you're not going to get that in these terrorist groups, okay? The only thing you're going to get is a bunch of people who are just eager to die for something stupid that's never going to see the light of day, okay? Because you're outnumbered. You're out fucking numbered. You militias, all you people out there, you're all outnumbered. And you're going up against a machine that has rivaled every military in the world. And if you think your guys, your big beer-bellied people out there and all those hillbillies that you gather with every night with your kids holding guns and all, if you think your little group there has a chance, okay, think about Ruby Ridge. Okay, and that wasn't even the full force of the federal government moving in, okay? And think about Waco. They're not going to stand by and allow shit like that to go on. And you can fight back all you want, but in the end, you're not going to be able to match that. So you might just as well put away all that thought, all that talk. Okay, stop trying to recruit people into your groups, because those people, some of them might be smarter than you think and realize what you're doing is, well, eventually they'll figure out what you're doing is stupid. Okay, put away that shit. Okay, do something constructive with your time instead of feeding off of the damn internet. Okay, before the internet was around, how the hell did you people ever get together like that? Or was that even a problem then? Did you hate your government as much? Okay, before the internet came around and you started reading other people's crap. Okay, and you know what people say, about bullshit being in the news and stuff like that. Well, hell, you can get bullshit anywhere, and it ain't just the news. It can be online of people's blogs and stuff like that. Okay, you can read bullshit or hear bullshit anywhere you go. Okay, but really, it's all up to you whether you want to keep listening to it or if you want to check out to make sure that it isn't bullshit. It's up to you. Okay, I know a lot of people don't want to bother trying to research anything, especially you QAnon folks out there. You just avoid challenging what you've been told, and when you stop challenging what is, then you really have no reason to hate the government, because you're challenging without information. You're challenging without facts. Okay, and when somebody comes to your face with facts, okay, that challenges where you're standing and you can't answer it, then you know that you fucked up, but you don't want to admit it. Okay, you just don't want to admit it. And I think you need to take a breath. Okay, stop holding up Trump as your fucking leader, because I know a lot of you out there probably don't think much of the guy anyway, but you don't want to say it to people. Okay, you don't want to sound disloyal. You want to be part of a group of people who are interested in anarchy. You don't like this country. I get it. You don't like the United States. But you know something? You don't have to stay here. You're not chained to this country. Okay? You're not chained here. You want to give up your citizenship? Go right ahead. It's easier than you think. Okay? Go ahead, pick the country you want to live in and plant your roots there. Okay? People came to this country, and I'm sure some of them went back to where they came from because they didn't like the way things were going. I'm sure that's happened. All right? So why don't you do like they did? Leave the country. Why try and do the impossible by trying to undo this country by turning it into something that you read about in books or you hear about in history and stuff like that? Why go through all that? Because you see how all those things turned out. It never works. Okay, lots of people get killed. A lot of innocent people get killed. All right, and by the end of the day, there's really no satisfaction about their victory. It's a Pyrrhic victory. You don't get anything from it. All right, and it makes everything that you worked so hard to do things seem so cheap and unimportant and So why waste effort doing that? You can take that same energy that you got right now and put it to doing good instead. Okay, and it builds up good karma for you in the end, because if you go out there and you just help people, okay, not recruit them into your shit, but just help people. Take that energy and help people. Do good. Help kids, or something like that. Be an idol for children or something like that for them to look up to or something. Challenge yourself to be a good person instead of, resigning to something that's easy to do, which is being totally evil. Okay? Because once you go down that road, people, you never turn around and come back. It's too fucking tempting to do bad all the time. And of course, when you get caught, you're crying because you got caught, not because you're sad that you did evil. No, you're not sorry about that. You're just sorry you got caught. So why don't you try doing some good for once? All right, stop telling other people how to live their lives, and just if they're in trouble or something like that, and they need help, see what you can do to help. Be a good citizen, because this country works by group mentality. We help each other. I mean, that's what this country was supposed to be about, helping each other, to be a community in itself. I mean, that to me sounds like a good way to live, by helping others. It's better than criticizing others all the time for things that you're probably already doing, but you can't stand seeing other people do. You know, I feel like that, you know, that a lot of people that are out there bitching about things that people do today are themselves doing it, okay? Which is why, Republicans accuse the Democrats of doing things when they've already been doing it. When they say, oh, the Democrats cheated, and it was them all along that was trying to cheat after the election was over. Okay, so anyway, that's all for today, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. Please keep your ears open for COVID-19 news in your local area, okay, and the monkeypox thing. And, subscribe and comment, and get out there and register for voting, okay? That's very important. You gotta register. And I know some of you, it's probably a pain in the butt, I know that. I mean, a lot of you don't have the luxury that I do of living in a very small town where your town office is hardly ever used and hardly anybody's there except when it's time for elections. But if you live in this big city, then them fucking places are probably loaded all the time, and that means you got to stand in line and wait and wait and wait. You know, I know that, okay? That's why I say do it now beforehand, so that way you have time, before, you know what I'm saying? And just, register, make sure you're, and help somebody who can't really get to the poll or something like that. Offer to give them a drive over there with it. That's something to do good, right? That's a thing you can do good. So, all right then. I'll talk to you guys later, so take care, everyone.